Okay. I'm realizing now that I was foolish for thinking that the show is going to calm down. I have a feeling that might not happen right through to the end of the season. This is the GOAT. This is the GOAT. Okay, time to focus. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to our weekly Tower of God discussion. Today we're going to be talking all about episode 6, but before we get into that, I want to give a big thank you to those of you who shared last week's video over on Twitter. At DanielSTG, at Mew221Mew, at Sirius9752, at Verdun Main, at Similarity, at NimadXI, at Deep Not That Deep, at Star Anime, at Thomas83C, and at JName. Thank you all so much for sharing last week's video over on Twitter, everybody, and if you too would like to have your name shouted out in next week's Tower of God video, then be sure to share this video around on the internet, and then tag me at JoJo Talks Too Much over on Twitter, and I will be sure to shout your name out in next week's video. Now, with that said, like, comment, subscribe, hype! Oh, we have so much to talk about. This show. Now, listen, I'm sure if I were a webtoon reader, I would have some issue with the show. Because from what I hear from webtoon readers, although admittedly I do tune out most of this stuff, but from what I hear, people are like disappointed because I guess like stories jumbled and CU doesn't really have much to do with the anime, I guess. I don't know. And if I'm totally honest, I don't care because the show is intriguing, it's hype, it's fun and exciting, but also mysterious and like, ooh, I wonder what's going on with this character. Oh, I wonder what's going on with that character. It's actually balancing the ensemble well, putting the focus on characters that need the focus, while at the same time expanding the roster to get us a little bit more familiarized with all these different characters who will likely be playing a part in the story to come. I think it's fantastic. I'm pretty sure you guys probably know that by now. I have been really cheering for this show. Like, since episode 1, I knew that this was going to be something interesting, but I didn't expect to be so caught up in the hype that is Tower of God. Like, I am about this, and we're only on episode 6. I can't even begin to guess where this is going to go. I'm already just intrigued. But let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the episode itself, shall we? Okay, so let's go ahead and start with Rachel and Khun. And now, I have theories, I have feelings. I have mostly feelings, but I have theories. But mostly feelings, because that whole, like, we'll be each other's weakness thing. Listen, Rachel, I'm sure you're a nice girl, but that is a load of horse shit. Khun sees that, I see that, the audience sees that, everybody sees that. Her saying we'll only be each other's weakness, and then sort of, like, dipping out. Telling Khun, like, no, you have to tell him that I wasn't actually Rachel. You don't know me, and I don't know him. That's what you tell him. Like, I don't know him. We have to keep each other. We have to be separate from each other. And she does explain, like, that she found him, taught him, like, all, like, life itself and all this stuff. But she straight up admits she abandoned him, and she assumed she'd never see him again. Like, she admits that she abandoned him. Her dream of seeing the stars was outweighed her care for Bam. Like, she abandoned this sort of like mother hen role to Bam to follow her own dream. And now normally I can respect people's hustle, but I don't respect that. Like in this case I was like, no, you suck. Like, you suck for abandoning him. But at the same time, maybe I'll change my mind on that. But even Khun sees right through that. When she says we'll only be each other's weakness, that's why he can't know and I can't know and we can't team up and all this crap. Khun just says, like, you mean you, not like both of you. You only mean for you. He doesn't say that to her. I wish he did. I wish he threw it right back in her face. I wish he just told Bam, like, yeah, it's Rachel, but she doesn't want to see you. Like, he kind of says that without saying it. Like, he does keep his promise. He does tell Bam, like, oh, that's not Rachel. But even if it was, it would seem she doesn't want to talk to you until you get stronger. So maybe you should grow stronger and we'll team up as a unit. And the whole, like, Bam and Khun dynamic is so good. Now, listen, you guys know me. You know that I've been shipping kabam since day one, since the first minute that these two had shared a screen together. I was like about it. So of course I'm excited when I see Khun say, like, she's not good for you. You know who's good for you? I'm good for you. Like, that's basically what he says without saying it. You gotta read the subtext. Being a shipper is all about reading the subtext between characters, seeing how the characters would click in terms of their character personalities, and then read in between the lines in certain scenes. That's what it is. That is what it is to be a fudanshi. That is what it is to be a fujoshi, if you will. Depending on which side of the gender pool you fall on, or somewhere in between. I don't know, man, but what I will tell you is this. Khun and Bam, they go together like peanut butter and jelly, baby. Like, that's what it's all about. And I love the fact that Khun's like, you know what? I'm going to protect you from her because I've been where you are. I don't want to see that happen to you. And the fact that these two people are a pair who have come together based off a mutual sort of broken heart from being betrayed by somebody they care about. Like that, I love that they come together in the same sort of moment, especially noticing that Bam's going through something similar that he went through. He wants to be there for him. And this man buys him new clothes. This man buys him new threads. And I gotta say, Bam, I likely used it as a thumbnail. My boy's looking clean. Like, my boy looking cool as hell. And in fact, Bam looks like I saw his threads and I thought, like, he looks kind of cool. Like, he looks really cool, in fact. And he looks so familiar. I can't pinpoint what it is, but man, he looks familiar. And then it clicked, oh, Bam looks like he's about to join the Black Bulls, but in actuality, it's more like the Black Bulls must be big fans of Bam, since technically this came before Black Clover. So either way, I lost my shit, because I was like, that's cool! Like, I kind of want to see some Asta meeting Bam fan art. I would love to see that, like, the fan art of the two of them, like swapping fists, you know, like some sort of sparring match between Asta and Bam. I think that'd be really fun to see. And yeah, I love the new threads. You could easily just say that, because I had, to go into a bit of color theory. I had a little bit, I was a little bit adverse at first to the black, right? Because it's mostly all black. And I was nervous because I was like, oh, does this mean that Bam is taking a darker route? Perhaps he's gonna get a little bit more vicious, a little bit more cruel. But you don't see that in his actions. So what I take away from the new outfit is not only him shedding the old skin and leaving it behind, the old mission of, like, I need to find Rachel, because he's already found Rachel. So now the new mission is to climb the tower and maybe one day reunite with Rachel and ask her what the hell, like, you know? But I also think that the black clothes, to me, they signify a new start, but also a maturity. I'm looking at the black outfit as maturity. He's grown a little bit. He's learning a little bit more. He's not quite the lost little duckling that we've known him to be. He's getting a little bit better. He's still that lost duckling, don't get me wrong, and he's still the sweetest boy on the planet. But he is growing, he's maturing, and I dig it. And I love the outfit. We also get to learn a lot about how battle in this series will work. We basically get a crash course on it, actually. And I wrote it down. A huge chunk of my notes is just dedicated to positions in battle, because much like many other shonen battle anime, it actually does properly explain, like, who does what goes where, like that kind of stuff. So, positions in battle, we got Fisherman, which is a weird name, weird name for a fighting style or a specific position in a team of fighters. But regardless, Fishermen are the ones who go close up in terms of combat. I don't know why it's called Fisherman. I thought maybe I would have some idea by the time I got to the mic, but you know what? I'm sorry, folks, I have no idea. My best guess is, like, maybe you're fishing people out, like you're trying to draw people out, so the fishermen are there to draw the enemy out, to fish for enemies? I guess? I don't know, that's my best guess. Regardless, you got fishermen, you got the spear bearer. These are your long-range combatants. So in this case, long-range combatants being Team Shady's big heavy guy. He's a spear bearer. Surprisingly enough, Rack is a spear bearer, which is odd. I thought he'd be a fisherman, given that from what we've seen from him, he's close range, but he does literally have a spear, so I guess that's fair. I guess my weird alter ego in Tower of God, the rifle guy, he probably would have been a spear bearer since he's long distance combat. But regardless, rip to Tower of God, ugly, weird, bizarro meme. He's gone. but I suppose he would have been a spear bearer. Light bearer. These are the people who illuminates the darkness of the tower. And that could be also metaphorical, since they are also the information gatherers. I would assume that Yuri's boy, the dude who runs around with Yuri, I assume he's a light bearer, since he seems to be like on top of information within the tower. I don't know who else would be a light bearer that we know currently, but interesting form of combatant. Would not have guessed that was going to be a thing. But yeah, hey, information in combat is huge, so that's good. I'm glad that they actually have like a sort of brains of the operation. Then you got scout, who are sent to investigate the enemy, so basically what a scout sounds like. Sent in to investigate the enemy, and they also assist the fishermen. And then you have wave controller, who's basically the leader / director of the group. They are there to not only control and support battle, in terms of, just being the general leader, but also using Shinsu, which, of course, we find out that Bam is going to be the wave controller. He's going to be a wave controller for his group, as we know that he is pretty good with Shinsu, although, in fairness, he was unconscious at the time, but he is taking to it like a fish out of water. Fisherman joke notwithstanding, I do think that the idea of like the different positions is interesting. I will note that there's 5 positions, and are the teams now disbanded? I don't know. We do know for sure that Team Tracksuit, much to my dismay, Team Tracksuit has been disbanded. They have Hats and Shibisu have parted ways with Anaak. We will get into Anaak in just a second, but I do think it's interesting how there's 5 positions on a team, but we've only known teams of 3. So I'm curious if we're going to be adding people to form a team of 5, or if we're just going forward with, I believe, actually, now that I think about it, I believe Rachel and Khun would be light bearers, since they were like on that weird like Tony Stark computer thing, so maybe they're light bearers. So I guess our main team, Team Turtle, would be a spear bearer, a wave controller, and a light bearer. Interesting. But speaking of interesting, we gotta talk about Anaak and Endorsi, who... Okay. Endorsi, I said this on Twitter when the last episode came out. I will say it again here. I was curious. I wanted to look up who this character was, because I was like, who is this girl in the high heels? Because they are doing something to my heart. So I gotta know who this is. And I was surprised to find out that Endorsi is in the webtoon, at least. I don't know how far into the webtoon this is, but Endorsi kind of hot. So I put out a tweet with like this picture of Endorsi in like some sort of like track outfit type thing. I was like, Endorsi kind of fine. And in this episode, Endorsi got that like just that solid like shit disturber type of personality. You love to see it. Like, so Endorsi, I was right away like, Endorsi's cool as hell. Like, I want to see more from Endorsi. She's cool as shit. So, especially when they reveal that she's one of the Princess of Jihad. So I was like, oh, this is cool. I want to see more from her. She's great. And we actually do get to see a whole bunch from her. She takes a big chunk of the episode. She gets a lot of shine. She's very curious about the whole friendship forming, which I didn't really get to talk about. But yeah, Shibisu and Hats are, I believe they're scouts. So their mission is to find like 10 friends within the week. So they're befriending all the different people, such as like we've already seen like Lowry. He becomes a friend of theirs. Shibisu calls the one chick a hag. I forget her name again, but she's great too. I love the fact that I still kind of ship that, if I'm honest. Shibisu and Hag, whose name escapes me, but I think they're kind of cute. We see them befriending a lot of people, specifically the guy with the horn, who is on, I forget what we called them, Team Sleepwalker or something like that. Team Sleeping Bag, I don't know. But Ho, specifically, which is like the goofiest name. But yeah, Ho, he's the dude with the horn. He is also like a new character that they introduce. I don't have tons of time to talk about all the new character, or like this specific aspect of the show, because like it's just sort of like set up for stuff. I don't find anything particularly interesting beyond the fact that Ho seems to want to help Bam, but he's also sort of like nervous about Bam. Like he seems to be like struggling with being a wave controller. So I think it's one of those keep your friends close and your enemies closer type of thing. Regardless, keeping my eye on him. And Endorsi decides the same idea. Keep your friends closer, your enemies closer. I'm assuming she's pretending to be these people's friends, but I also just kind of based off the character that she's presenting to me, she seems like the kind of character who will start off kind of antagonistic and like a playful, like Loki type, and then eventually actually become friends with these people. So she kind of like saunters over to the table. She's mostly amused by the fact that these people are treating their enemies as friends. And then the big moment happens where Anaak rocks up and she again calls Anaak an imposter. And Anaak's like, she's a princess, right? And the whole table's like, what the hell? And Khun seems to have already been aware of this. He's like, yeah, well, that doesn't surprise me. And Anaak, my girl, I really like Anaak. I really, really do. My issue, and again, when I say issue, I don't mean like in terms of writing. I mean like the way the writing is, this seems to be like what they're going for with the character, and it's what I'm concerned about is that she's going full Khan from Star Trek, like Wrath of Khan, where she's so about the vengeance that she's blinding herself to specific weaknesses that she has. Like earlier, Rachel talked about weaknesses, but Rachel's full of shit. Like she even has that dream where Bam is like making friends and leaving her. Like she's more afraid of the fact that she's already lost Bam. Whereas Anaak is not even noticing her blind spots. She doesn't care about blind spots. She only cares about hunting these girls down because, yes, as it turns out, in the midst of this battle on this basically bumper balls with needles, as they call them, they're not swords, they're needles, big difference. Basically, Anaak and Endorsi are in this big, like, bumper balls from Mario Party, but with needles. And it's in the midst of this fight where Anaak is really gunning for Endorsi, but Endorsi's like, you can't even touch me. Like, you almost got me, but I slammed you into the ground. Like, you ain't nothing. And she says, like, oh, I get it. You're her orphan. And you're the real Anaak's orphan. And I was like, huh, what? And at the same time, just like seconds before that happens, Khun is like surprised when he looks up Anaak's profile and finds out that Anaak is already dead. So it's like, what? You're already dead. So like, whoa, Kenshiro, I didn't even know you were here. But yeah, so that's the thing. So I'm thinking like, what the hell's going on? Is she a ghost? Blah, blah, blah. No, turns out the real Anaak died along with seemingly her husband when they were killed by the princesses. So that's why Anaak is here. She's here for vengeance against the princesses of Jihad, and she's gonna take their weapons and all this stuff. And I am so curious, as if I didn't already like these characters enough, like as if I'd already didn't like Anaak and Endorsi, but now they have this like real heated like dynamic between the two of them. And I love the fact that Black March is like, nope, I'm not even talking to you. I'm pissed with you. I'm not even going to acknowledge your presence. I only talk to, what did she say? Like, she only talks to handsome boys or whatever. She only talks to handsome men. She doesn't want to talk to Anaak. She straight up rejects Shibisu, which kind of broke my heart a little bit. Shibisu's still the funniest character here, but man, that fight, that twist, I am so hyped. This show is so good. I love this show so much. Like that end card, like the fact that like the credits started to play, I'm like, when the credits start to roll, but a scene is still going, some shit's about to go down. And that's what happens at the end of this episode with Anaak revealing the real reason why she's here, that she is an imposter, but she's coming for all these princesses and she's gonna take heads. And I am so excited for what's gonna happen next week. Next week, I guess it's just gonna be more Endorsi versus Anaak. I gotta see this. Okay, so that's gonna wrap up today's video. You lovely people, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm not gonna lie to you good folks. I'm so sort of like hype that I don't really I'm so like still on an adrenaline rush that I didn't even really think of a question of the day. So I'm just gonna have today's question of the day be, how you doing? How are you doing? Let me know in the comments. And that's gonna do it for today's video, everybody. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, then by all means hitting that like button and leaving a comment down below is a great way to help out this channel as it pleases the almighty YouTube algorithm. So if you choose to do so, kudos to you. And if you're feeling extra supportive today, you can go ahead and check out all the links in the description. One goes to my Twitter, another one is to our Discord server, another one to our merch store if you feel like grabbing yourself a mug, and of course, our Patreon page. page. And speaking of the Patreon page, I do want to give a big thank you to those of you in the T Squadron who support this channel month to month. Let's go ahead and do the Earl Grey shoutouts. Izevi, Andrew W., Branson C., Bria Rose, Calvin A., Crowbar of Irony, Daniel G., Digger the Fox, Dominic G., Emily, Ionos, Urza, Ginkotaku, Godzilla Fan, No For Nothing, Maria T., Marshall B., Mater, Mirth Mouser, Cell, Shadow Creative, Stephen G., Sakochi, The Suavest Orange, Tristan G., and Veridon. Thanks so much for your continued support over on Patreon, everybody, and if you too would like to join the T Squadron, then be sure to check out the first link in the description to check out our Patreon page. That is a huge way to support the channel. And again, be sure to check out the other stuff in the Discord as well. Go join our Discord. It is now public. You can all join. Everybody can hop in the Discord. Follow me on Twitter if you want me to ramble at you even more. And until next time, you stay classy, AnyTube, and wash your dang hands.